In this lecture, we will talk about what is basic authentication. So in our previous lecture, we have talked about that basic authentication is also known as username and password authentication. So whenever any API which accepts basic authentication, that means we need to provide the username and password to the third party system over the network so that we can get the protected resources that we are looking for. So in case of our basic authentication, what we need to do is we cannot directly send the data from one system to another system, especially our username and password. So what we do is we have to encode our data, our username and password with the help of our base64 encode. So whenever we are sending any data, we encode our username and password into the base64 form, and then we send it in the header of our API request, which we'll see into the coming lectures as well. And then what happens, we send the encoded data to the third party system. Third party system takes that data, decode that data, and then try to find out what is the username, what is the password, and then they try to find out behind the scene if the hash of that password or some other algorithm that they have used to encrypt and store the password into their system. They will perform the validation, and if everything is valid, then only they will return you the response. That response might be a success response or an error response, because if you are trying to access a resource which is not available, you will definitely get an error, but your system is going to give you the response. So that is what it is going to look like in the basic authentication. Now let's quickly see how we are going to encode in this lecture with the help of an online tool which is available, and then we will also see how we can encode these into our FS class as soon as our course progress. So there is a site called base64encode.org, and here you can provide the string which you wanted to encode, and then you can just click on encode to encode your value that you have. Suppose that you have a username called something like this, and then you need to put a colon. This is a separator where you can, the third party system can get know that the string left to this column is a username, and string left to that column is right to that column is a password. That's why we are putting a separator which is colon, and then we just need to click on encode. So as soon as you click on encode, you will see that this is your encoded string. Now this string you need to pass into your headers, the headers of your request, and then your system where you are trying to access the resource will receive that string, encode that, do the validation, and then will send back you to either success or an error response. So we will see more about this base64 while we will try to integrate our system which is Pressdesk. We'll talk more about this and you will get more clarity on that. So that's it for this lecture. Thank you.